Brand disclaimer. The views and opinions expressed by individuals on this platform, the callers plus invited guests, are their own. The information you hear does not reflect the overall views of all parties associated with this brand. We encourage everyone to research all things heard live or via archive for edification purposes. Discretion is advised.
Don't touch that dial. You're now listening to Debate Talk Free Radio.
Help keep the show on the air. If you want to help, you can send your donation to PayPal. The email is debatetalkforyou@gmail.com or through Cash App, $Sal Showtime. Thanks for your support.
Peace. What it is, it's your brother Tyvon Swaino, aka the Orthodox Moor, aka the Seven Pillar Saracen, coming at you with a very interesting topic that's been talked about quite a bit lately, these Georgia pews and whatnot. I'm sorry, family. I was supposed to come on a few days ago and do this show, but we had a very wicked windstorm in my area that knocked down all kind of trees and power lines and all kind of stuff. People in my neighborhood got their houses decimated, etc., whatnot. So, my apologies for being a bit late on it, but I caught up like I said I would, and here I am. And so, I wanted to give you another view on the pews from the Israelite intelligentsia concept. So, Israelite intelligentsia is me, my brother Anonymous Hebrew, and my brother Elder Yara. We know each other from the Yahweh War Machine. In a debate circle, we still run in, etc., whatnot, and we wanted to put forth some scholastic arguments on a few things that weren't particularly being dealt with on a few different things in terms of language, DNA, migration patterns, etc., history, etc., 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 etc. And we will be dealing with those things one on one or one by one, also doctrinal, etc. But yeah, this is a very hot topic, and it's been heated on both sides, and I'm definitely jumping into it because my name's been brought up into it. People like Abu and others have put me in videos, etc., whatnot. When I've gone and talked about this topic on other channels and whatnot, I know the whole Morey Brown, Pastor Kelly thing is a big deal. People want to know, is cats real? Is cats not real? Should people repent in public, etc., etc., etc.? We'll touch on all that, fam. But without further ado, I'm going to share my screen and get into the presentation I wanted to get into. So I appreciate y'all for coming through. Please don't forget to hit that like button. Please don't forget to share. And please don't forget to subscribe. Let me go ahead and make this proper and big for everybody to see. Again, shout out to my brothers in Israelite intelligentsia think tank on the ground. So real quick, this is another view on the pews. A preservation of African culture in America. First and foremost, this is an Israelite intelligentsia disclaimer. Any difference of opinion with other Israelite groups should not be seen as a sign of disrespect or as a direct refutation of any Israelite group's position on this matter or others. If and when any direct refutations are made, the scholastic show will have the name of the intended target written on it with bold print for all to see. Any and all sincere critiques of information presented are not only welcomed, but are invited. Steel sharpens steel. This is how we get down, family. In the circle we run in, we're our hardest debates. We debate each other internally. We don't just critique information. We literally debate information. When our people are prepping for debates or whatnot, someone will stand in and do proper debate prep with them. They will be the opposite side, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And we will all come in and critique and try to find whatever holes in the argument we can find. Because it's not about being right, it's about being true. A lot of people can go into a debate and come into public conversations and whatnot and try to just win the crowd. That's cool if that's your thing, right? But for us, we're trying to bring out correct information, true information. We want the information to let us know what's going on. We're not trying to build a narrative based upon cherry-picked information. So with that being said, let me go forward. Our position on Professor Katz and the pews. First and foremost, when it comes to the claim of Professor Katz being a fictitious character made up and portrayed, I should say, we're about to do some some live editing right quick. Hold on. About to do some live editing right quick. My fault, family. Sometimes I'm dyslexic. Fat finger some stuff. Back to it. First and foremost, when it comes to the claim of Professor Katz being a fictitious character made up and portrayed by Maury Brown, we take the position that only circumstantial evidence has been shown, and that no conclusive evidence has been brought forth either for or against. So without conclusive evidence, we cannot take a definitive stance on the matter publicly. And that's based upon the scrolls. That's based upon the Torah right there. We all have our individual opinions on the matter. We even debate that internally and whatnot. We all have strong opinions on the matter. But unless there is concrete evidence for or against, no matter how much circumstantial evidence is provided, we cannot take a definitive stance. Also, however, we do take the public position that if any Israelite group is found to be lying to the people, that they should apologize and repent for their wrongdoings to the people publicly. We do not support making public statements on other Israelite groups or individuals unless private and moderated reconciliation has been tried and found not to be successful. This is something that we're very, very big on. Both in the we were big on it in the War Machine, and we're big on it in the Israelite intelligentsia and whatnot. This is a huge concept for us, because a lot of people go around backbiting and doing all kind of stuff, and it's not necessary. It causes more division than it does unity and whatnot. Not to mention, like if you're claiming to be an Israelite, whether you're New Testament or Old Testament, we literally have the same rules on how to deal with these concepts. So we're supposed to go build on certain things, and there's an escalation process. And if we can't find peace in certain ways, we have to go to another way, and another way, etc. And you can go to the scrolls to get that process and whatnot. Whether or not Professor Katz is real, we do not support the claims being made by Katz concerning the pews. In particular, we do not support the claim that Arabic is definitely not found to be present on the pews. Katz gives neither Maury Brown or Abu any scholastic reasoning as to why there would be no Arabic on the pews. If Katz is real, we recommend to all that his sloppy scholarship be avoided. One more time. If Katz is real, we recommend to all that his sloppy scholarship should be avoided. Methodology should always be produced when presenting information to the people. When people want to check you on your methodology, when they want to see how you came to a certain conclusion, there's no reason for a scholar to not give such methodology. That's literally what they're there for. That's what their job is. I stated in a video that Abu clipped up and whatnot, that when I was on G-Con's channel talking about this, that basically, like, Professor Katz, if he's real, he took more sentences and more words to describe and to explain why he was not going to break down why Arabic was not on the pews than what it would have taken to explain why Arabic was not on the pews. And like I stipulated, scholars know how to shorthand information. That's literally what they do. I also gave my brother Maury Brown, I gave him an out, and I hope he takes it. Because I want to be clear on this. Unless this out is taken, we can't take the claim that Katz is real seriously. And this is the out. So if Katz is a real scholar, then you don't have to bring him out personally. All you have to do is produce his scholarship. As I stipulated in that video with the G-Con on his channel that Abu ended up clipping up, I said that you're not going to be you're not going to be to the level to where you can just rule out Arabic, and you'll see why in a second, because it's a very strong claim. Arabic not being on the pews is a stronger claim than Hebrew being on the pews. I'll say that one more time, because there's a positive and negative claim being made. Arabic not being on the pews is a stronger claim than claiming Hebrew is on the pews. And I'll get into that in a second. But that needs to be understood as something that we're saying at the forefront. That it's a stronger claim to say that Arabic is not on the pews than it is to say Hebrew is on the pews. But both claims are being made at the same time, a positive and a negative claim, by Katz and by Maury Brown and whatnot. I've heard Pastor Kelly talk about that he believes it's not Arabic, but at the same point in time, I've also heard Pastor Kelly stipulate that if it is Arabic, he doesn't care, because he still knows that the people there were Israelites. And again, that's also our position, in the sense that we're like, if there's no Hebrew found on the pews whatsoever, that has no play on the people at the church. Historically, a portion of them claiming to be Israelite. Again, you can look at Benaiah Israel's work. Again, not on the translation of the pews, but he goes into other work in terms of just showing people that are claiming to be Israelite. So the fact that the people are claiming that themselves is a strong claim. I mean, so you don't need the pews for personal identity claims and whatnot. However, but again, Pastor Kelly also stipulated that he believes that there's geese on the pews and whatnot, Amharic on the pews, etc. So you got people like him and Dante stipulating that they believe that that there's more than one way of looking at this, right? So there is that. Going forward. So people got to understand this. When you go listen to Abu talk to Barin and others on Barin's channel, Abu talks about being in contact with Pastor Kelly from like October of 2019, and then you hear you can hear like the faithful to God in Sister E conversation happened in October of 2019, right? Well, in August of 2019, my man Anonymous Hebrew went down to the church. He went on the tour himself. He took his own pictures, and he did so for his own research. When we all talked about this, and this is back when we were all rocking with the War Machine, and G-Con was actually rocking with us too. G-Con confirmed on his channel that he was on a call that we were all on with Anonymous Hebrew talking about this. So again, just to be clear, this has been a back burner project of ours since August of 2019, when our good brother, Anonymous Hebrew, went to the First African Baptist Church to do his own field research on the matter. There are recordings of him, there are audio recordings of his tour. We were actually trying to set up a interview at the time with the tour guide. And we were even talking about doing a documentary and whatnot. We didn't know about the documentary that Garfield was talking about, nor do we have any knowledge of Pastor Kelly or Maury Brown or Boo and them talking about this. Again, this is August of 2019. We're just now finding out about Pastor Kelly and Maury Brown's arguments on this. We had no idea about this. This was all independent at the time. So this needs to be clearly established, is that as a group of people like me, Anonymous, Elder Yara, Yehukanah, again, even G-Con knew about this. We were talking about these pews since August of 2019. And we had a lot of debates that we were doing. We were in a very busy debate league or whatnot. And so with the debate prep that we do and all that kind of stuff, we had to make this a back burner project. Little did we know it was going to become a forefront conversation. But everything I'm about to tell you here is what we all concluded back then. And again, G-Con was on the phone call. He was on the Hangout call. He was in the Hangouts the group with us at the time. And he confirmed he was on the call for the conversation and whatnot. But we've had more than one conversation on this. But you can clearly see in these pictures that it says August 3rd, 2019. Hold on. Anyway, after much discussion, we came to the conclusion that if there was any written language on the pews, that most likely there would be more than one language, and possibly a trade language, potentially representing many different tribal fingerprints. And this has to do for many reasons. And we will get into that in further videos. Like I said, we're going to do like a full series on this at one point. Because like I said earlier, Anonymous took audio recordings, etc. So we're gonna go through a lot of stuff and really clean it up for the people, make sure it's understandable and whatnot, and really break down the information that's being said on the audio. And if possible, we're gonna try to find the brother who did the tour, and also reach out to scholars independently ourselves. We're going forward. We do not claim that all the markings are illegible script, nor do we rule out miscellaneous markings or natural designs potentially being found within the wood itself. However, we also do not rule out single letter repetitions being marked on the wood of the pews, etc., or just single letters being represented in the middle of nothing. I'll get into that in a second. We do not take the position that sola Treo will likely be found on the pews due to time and proximity. And this needs to be understood. And again, this is not bucking shots at anybody's position. We just have a different position on it. So we would love to build with brothers who have a contrary position on this and try to compare and contrast the scholarship and see where we can meet in the middle, etc. But we do not take the position. And I'll say that I'll just short story it for the people. When you hear me talk, a lot of people have heard me talk about the fact that I consider myself Hebrew on both sides of my family. And from my mother's side, they're North African Jews that migrated through Spain and then through Mexico. And so my mother's family actually descends from like the oldest pocket of like Sephardic Maghreb Jews in the United States or whatnot, from a new pocket that they found in northern New Mexico, southern Colorado. And so we don't make the argument that we will likely find sola Treo on the pews, because within my mother's people, you don't find sola Treo. It's not that I know of. And they were coming directly from Spain. And so they've been in the Americas since the 1500s, and we don't find this script amongst their people, right? Like that. So they were crypto Jews, yeah. But like, so in this situation, it's very comparable, because the claim is basically that they were like crypto Jews or whatnot, right? The people building the church or whatnot. So if we don't find that directly from people coming from Spain and that were isolated for over 500 years or whatnot, then it seems very unlikely that we would find sola Treo in a group of people, in a group of enslaved Africans in the 17 and 1800s. It seems very highly unlikely. Not to mention that particular script you're going to find more so in Spain, and you're going to find more so in North Africa. So the slaves would have to particularly be coming from there, in order for that to make sense from how I understand the language to be spread. If there's other information out there, I would love to see it. Again, I'm not bucking shots at nobody on this topic. We just have a difference of opinion, right? For some people. So for my brothers like Benai Israel, etc., I would love to understand your breakdown of sola Treo in the Sephardic Jews, etc., and the language distribution in Africa and all that. Same thing with Pastor Kelly, etc. I would love to understand y'all breakdown on it. So I would love to build with y'all on that. So hopefully we can link up in some way, shape, or form and do that. But going forward, we also take the position that if Hebrew is not found on the pews, there would be no impact on any Hebrew or Israelite identity claims being made by early members of the church. It is clear people were self-identifying as Israel. Again, like I said, you just go look at Benaiah's work. Benaiah clearly documents that. And again, I gotta say, I personally appreciate people like Abu separating the identity argument from the language argument. I think a lot of people don't trust Abu for a multitude of reasons. I'm not saying anyone has to. I'm someone, and my brothers also have the same concept of, we like having opposition. Opposition makes us sharper. We don't mind having opposition. And when it comes to opposition, someone like Abu is good opposition because he makes really good arguments. whatever you feel about Abu, whether you like him, dislike him, trust him, don't trust him. If you're trying to be sharp on your game, he's not bad opposition in the sense that he comes with really, really good arguments. So I appreciate that. And we definitely plan on engaging him on whatever whatever scholastic arguments he wants to get into in terms of whatever we believe and whatever claims we're making. And we can definitely do so in a very peaceful manner. In fact, I've invited Abu to come on this channel here to actually to discuss the pews and whatnot. So I look forward to that actually happening. We're going forward. Let me stop and check the comments right quick. Make sure I'm not missing anything. Shout out to my brother. Oh, I see my brother in the hold on. Here we go. My brother Anonymous. What's good, brother? Man, how you doing, sir?
Yo, Shalom, Mike. I'm good. How you doing?
All is well. See, you came right at the right time. It's about to get spicy. It's about to get spicy.
I see you doing that work. You know, I just figured I'd come on in.
Yes, sir. Well, man, it's your work too. I'm showing your stuff. You know what I'm saying? That ain't my hand in that picture on the right. You know what I'm saying?
Hallelujah.
Shout out to Independent. Hey, man, again, just confirm for the people. Like that says August 3rd, 2019, right?
Right.
That's your hand in that picture, right?
Yes, sir.
You're pointing at the pews in the First African Baptist Church in Savannah, Georgia, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Live in the flesh.
Yes, sir.
All right. So again, family, we've been dealing with this since August of 2019, since before Abu ever started talking to Pastor Kelly or Sister E on this whole topic. And this is where we're starting to switch the game up a little bit. So to date, symbols of the Bakongo people, Amharic / and possible Hebrew letters, and the Ajami Arabic script have been identified within the church. There could be more languages found with more research. We owe it to our ancestors to find out what they left. I'm going to hit that one more time. Because my man Yahuk and I went on the Dagger Squad and was asking people, why don't you go down there? Why don't you go down there? And they was like, nah, why should we go down there? What's the point? Here's the point. No matter what if you're an atheist or if you're a theist or whatever, right? If you got people that came through the slave trade in America, you should be looking at this church as a national treasure because it potentially contains multiple scripts of multiple African people that went through the slave trade. Think about this one more time. This should be considered a national treasure, whether you're Kemetic, whether you're a Moor, whether you're an Israelite, whether you're an atheist. I don't care. If your ancestors came off a slave ship in America, this should be considered a national treasure for you, this church, because it contains potentially multiple African scripts.
Man, can I touch on that real quick?
Please jump on it.
So this is why I suggest people go and actually go to these places. Like go and take the tour, right? Number one, if you go to Savannah, you know, I know it's a lot of stuff going on with COVID, but if you do end up going out there, you know, it's a cool little city, man. It's like it's a lot of different stuff to do. You can go out there with your significant other, whatever, have a nice little time. But, you know, number one, the tour is not that expensive, but they have this conversation with you, right? My tour guide was really, really well versed in the situation. And the thing that he explained was, regardless of arguing about the languages, and you know, I'll get into what he said about that. But he explains, like, this is your proof that these slaves didn't just get off these ships without any type of knowledge and like they weren't writing. This is your proof that as Black people, we came here with the education, with a way of communicating with each other. I know there's a brother that's talking about the pews and he says he doesn't have to go do any independent research. But those are the small nuances that you miss if you don't get a chance to go there and see this type of information, bro. Like, and it is powerful to be there and see the architecture and what your people built and know that they were communicating through script, not just orally. So yeah, you know, it's an amazing point that you're bringing up.
Yeah, and that's why people like Anonymous Hebrew felt it necessary to go see for himself in person. Heard claims. My G was like, let me go see. Let me see what's up. Right? Field research. Getting hands dirty.
Facts.
Okay, this is where it gets super interesting. So I'm gonna break some stuff down. Then I'm gonna play some clips right quick for you. The Dagger Squad and the Ephraim Isaac claims. So Garfield Reed consistently claims that Professor Ephraim Isaac, he is of Yemenite Jew and of Ethiopian Oromo descent. He is a very well-known scholar. Again, you'll hear Garfield talking about him in a second. I'm about to play a clip for you right quick. But again, he consistently makes the claim that Ephraim Isaac said that there was no Hebrew on the pews. I'm going to play parts of this documentary that Garfield keeps talking about. And you will see that in fact, hold on, I gotta fix this on the fly one more time, family. Hold up. Fix it on the fly. That in fact.
And it happens, you know what I'm saying? So what the brother is explaining, though, well, I don't want to speak to his point.
No, go ahead.
But nah. But what we're gonna see is, and he's gonna talk about this as we start to deal with the documentary that is out there. And I'll speak to this from my perspective first. We have to be careful because when you go there and when you see certain people's research, I'm only seeing 1 or 2 pews represented. Number one, right? I have over, I think it's 15 to 20 pictures, multiple sides of various pews. It becomes clear that there's multiple languages on these things if you deal with, we'll just say ancient scripts at this time. The concept that, and see, I'm looking at it already. I know where he's going. The concept that this is, number one, that we would say there's no Arabic is flawed, but the fact that to say that there's only one language on here and we're not seeing any proof really being brought, that's a problem, right? I can just start loading up slides for you right now. Just put them on deck. Just start loading up pictures right now. And I can show you I can show you at least, a cursive, a few cursive Hebrew letters. And as, a couple of the brothers have said it already, that would be consistent with some of the things that maybe they were doing. Maybe they were saying certain prayers over it. Maybe they're initialing it. I mean, I've heard all types of different theories. I'm actually starting to lean more towards, they're communicating somehow, and maybe there is a prayer going on. But what it becomes very clear, though, it is extremely, once again, scholastically dishonest to do some of the things that I've seen done on certain channels. Now I'm gonna let my brother go ahead and pick it back up, and then I'll land back off of him once he's finished.
Oh yeah, you'll like this, Ellie. You like how it plays out, bro.
Let's go.
In fact, nowhere in the parts of the documentary that Garfield shows, right, does Professor Isaac make such a claim that there's no Hebrew on the pews. In fact, he is not even the person brought in to deal with Hebrew in the documentary. And in fact, check this out. Hold on, Anonymous. What letter did you say you could identify when you were down there in Hebrew?
Cough. Definitely a cough, easy.
Right. So again, we're not saying that there's no Hebrew there. We're my man saying that he saw it there, right?
Right.
He's like in a cursive format, right?
Yep.
And ironically, you're gonna see before, again, Anonymous didn't know about the documentary. We didn't see it until just now, until Garfield showed pieces of it, right?
Yep.
And you'll see in the documentary, they identify a cough.
And yeah, that's
that.
Hey, that is so true. I had no clue about it. Now look, Garfield said that's a lie. You're welcome to jump on the panel. We can talk it out. You know what I'm saying? It's not a problem. But
yeah, I'm gonna rock this out first. And then
my brother gonna finish and then jump on. We can have a conversation.
I only got a few more slides left.
Yeah, but like I said, so now I know exactly where he's going. So let me go ahead and dunk this on you. I would love to have that debate if you want to say that there's no proof of any cough on these pews.
Oh man, again, bro, you already showed the man that was brought in to deal with Hebrew on the documentary you showed, bro. He says, yeah, I can see a cough right there.
Right.
He just says, I just don't see. I see nothing else around it. That's the problem.
Right, and then
my man Art Garfield takes that and runs with it, and then disregards everything else Ephraim Isaac says.
Bro, and it's hilarious because, so let's just do full disclosure, right?
Mm-hmm.
We go out there like on a trip for my wife, just to get away. And it turns into both of us like history. We notice our history. So we like, let's just go, we out here already. Let's go do it. I'm so amped when I come out. Forget the trip for a second. I'm calling my brothers on the hangout. Like, bro, look, let's talk about it. I'm sending them pictures. And the first thing we immediately talk about there is there's multiple languages on here. Right? And even to my dismay, because I go in there expecting it's nothing but Hebrew on the pews, right? But then it becomes more evident of what we seeing, and now you just get excited because now you're seeing real history. And like I said, you can clearly see a cop. And I'm gonna be honest, I can go in and make out other letters, but we can get in that, but I'm not gonna stretch it. We know for a fact we see the cough. Like he said in the documentary, we see this represented. We clearly see that there is a necessity to go and do firsthand research on these type of situations before you start presenting 7-day, 8-day streams on things that you haven't went and researched yourself.
Right. So real quick, let me tag in right quick. So
got it.
This is one of the reasons why me and Anonymous and the brother LDR formed the Israelite Intelligentsia, right? Because in our past debate experience, we ran into many people who were making certain claims about Israelites, like they never existed, these events never happened, all kind of stuff, right? People want to make strong claims and whatnot. And when we examined their claims, we found that they were only investigating surface information and whatnot, and they would tend to lack total scholarship on a subject and whatnot, right? And they would jump off the roof and out the window making claims and not being able to back up what they're talking about,
right?
And so. For instance, like people talking about like, oh, well, your DNA can't be EM1, you know what I'm saying, EM18, you know what I'm saying? It can't be. And then find out like, oh, no, it is. And you might not know what you think you know. So, for instance, my man's saying I'm being disingenuous, right? But I'm only commenting on the information that you've put out and that you've shown. You can clearly prove me wrong by showing a single clip of Ephraim Isaac saying it is not Hebrew. Right. Now, watch this. Ephraim Isaac says it's Amharic, 100%. So again, was he brought in to comment on Hebrew, or was he brought in to comment on Amharic or Gaiz? All you have to do is go to your own document that you have the full video of and make me a liar. I'm only commenting on what you've shown, bro. So again, like I said, nowhere in what you showed did he say it's not Hebrew. In fact, in the clip you're about to see, they're going to talk about Hebrew letters being found among the Gaiz script.
Hey, hold on. Hey, let me address this real quick because I don't want this to get lost in the chat. Now, for those of you that are just coming in, peace, welcome. The brother has already stated, as it pertains to the claims of anyone, as it pertains to Richard Katz or anything like that, our only situation is we do not necessarily agree with what he has put out as it can't be Arabic and anything like that. But also, if there is any wrongdoing of this, that we would say as it pertains to anybody, that you need to come out and say that you have misled the people, apologize, repent, and move on. If, however, it is true, then we would pray that you bring that out somehow. You don't have to produce the scholar, but produce his work or something like that. So then that way we can move on from the situation. But as it pertains to what we're talking about today, we're talking about firsthand research. This is what we did back in 2019. This has nothing to do with the current situation. We were already on this. So be careful with the slander and saying that we're trying to prove something. We're literally going around trying to look at history and historical and archaeological and anthropological evidence all around the globe. That's our goal. So please be careful with the slander because we got receipts on this now, right? If I go and take a tour and I have a professional who is got degrees in this, in the early African studies and in all of these different fields of study, and he even tells me that this is Hebrew, Arabic, trade language, he goes to all this. I have him on record saying these things. And then I go and do the research, and we see certain letters, and we see Arabic, and we see Amharic, we see all of these different things. Now we gotta question your motives. Now we have to question why it is that you're so pressed to say that these people couldn't be Israelites. Because even as the brother Moore said, we know that the people of this church self-identified as Israelites. So even if we saw no Hebrew writing on it, that's still in their history. Their historical records archive them as are self-identifying as Israelites. So y'all got to start dealing with some of this. And as it pertains to Dante, since you keep bringing Dante's name up in the chat, whoever this is, Dante even brought scholastic evidence from Cambridge that says that that they would have came here with a mixture of ancient Hebrew, a form of Arabic, and I think he said Maghrebi Arabic and Patois.
Not only that, you can see Ronald Dalton Jr. right in a conversation with the West African brother claiming to be Israelite and Rabbi Harry Rosenberg, right, talk about producing a Torah that's a mixture of Moroccan Arabic, Aramaic, and the Yoruba script.
Right, correct.
So this concept is not unfounded. In fact, it has a lot of scholastic footing and historical footing when you understand what's going on. But on top of that, like, so again, put the Israelite thing aside. If you are of African descent in the Americas, you like this church should be a gold mine for you.
Yep.
Your people could have written something there. Again, anonymous. Did they let you see all the pews?
On one side, yeah, I didn't get to see. So when you go up,
so there's a whole section that you didn't get to see, right?
Yeah, it's a whole nother set of pews all the way on the other side on the top part of the church. But I don't know if they never let you go over there because I haven't done multiple tours. Matter of fact, we talked about going to do another tour. But when we went, you can only come up on the right side, and but I was able to see all the pews on the right side. And I got as many pictures.
Right. So fact of the matter is this, though, right? Like, so many of the pictures that you will see, even in the documentary being examined, right? Because a lot of places they're just looking at pictures, right? But like, you know what I'm saying? But like when you look at what Abu looked at, when you look at what Benai is looking at, when you look at the documentary, what they're showing, when you look at the photographs that Anonymous took, they're pretty much all the same pictures.
Right.
So what Anonymous is saying is that there's more on the other side. So there's so many potential scripts that could be found. Potentially when you understand that Arabic was the lingua franca of West Africa at the time and North Africa at the time. Mm-hmm. So you can literally go to Timbuktu and get the understanding that they were writing multiple different African languages in an Arabic script. One more time, different African languages in an Arabic script.
Right.
So for instance, like even the Yoruba were known to use the Ajami script. So there could be stuff written in Arabic, but in a whole other language. There could be Hebrew written in Arabic. There could be Yoruba written in Arabic. There could be Fulani written in Arabic. There could be all kind of language written in Arabic.
Right.
All kind of language written in Arabic. Yeah, I'm about to jump into some stuff right quick and let this get a little spicy.
And then we'll go ahead and we'll start slapping a little bit.
You know what I'm saying? You know.
This is the cryptic quest. All right, let's go to 51 seconds. Let me just play a little bit. Listen to this.
Georgia, built on the backs of slaves sacrificing their own money that could have been.
Hold on.
A church has just been erected in Savannah, Georgia. Built on the backs of slaves sacrificing their own money that could have been used to buy slaves sacrifice. The year is 1859. A church has just been erected in Savannah, Georgia, built on the backs of slaves sacrificing their own money that could have been used to buy their freedom. Up in the balcony, there are many markings and symbols on the pews. They appear to be of Semitic origin. Reading and writing was outlawed. So when and where did these slaves learn these Afro-Asiatic scripts?
All right, so I'm going to stop right there. And I'm going to move to and by the way, ladies and gentlemen, this is Ephraim Isaac. This is not a guy to play with when it comes to scholarship. But let's go to the 12-minute mark. The 12-minute mark, because I don't want to get my brother Alvin in trouble. Let me just get a little bit right here. What's going on here? The 12-minute mark. Let's take a look.
From the same Proto-Semitic alphabet, and in shape and in form, many of them look alike. Ha, Sa, Ra, Ri.
So all these letters are Ethiopic.
Yeah, that could be Ethiopic. Yeah.
Okay.
This is Ha, this is Sa.
Yeah.
And this could be Na if it was straight like this.
There is now evidence to clearly show that some of the slaves came with skills of writing, which transcends the traditional models.
Let me rewind it to the 12-minute mark so everybody could hear this again. What Dr. Ephraim is saying, a Hebrew, by the way, a practicing Hebrew, the leading scholar with black folks when it comes to Hebrew, period. A matter of fact, the book of Enoch that is transliterated or translated he is the responsible guy. He worked for Harvard University. He's not no lightweight. He's saying he could see some Amharic letters there. This is what he's saying. He said he could see that within it. All right. He said partially, that's his conclusion. All right. Let me play this part again.
Hebrew both originate from the same Proto-Semitic alphabet, and in shape and in form, many of them look alike. Ha, Sa, Ra, Ri.
So all these letters are Ethiopic.
Yeah, that could be Ethiopic. Yeah.
Okay.
This is Ha, this is Sa.
Yeah.
And this could be Na if it was straight like this.
There is now evidence.
All right. So you see, this is the 12-minute mark. This video is over 40 minutes long. At this point, ladies and gentlemen, you see what Professor Ephraim is telling us. All right. So now I'm going to fast forward this to the 23-minute mark, right, with Dr. Ephraim. And let's go, what is it, the 23? Let's go here.
Hold on, family. Set up another clip right quick.
And once again,
Spiritual.
What was that?
I didn't know if you had it set up. If you got it ready to rock, let's rock.
No. What are you saying?
I just, to those in the chat, once again, I would advise you to go back and listen to the beginning of the Brother Moore's stream, so that way you can know where we're coming from. Because some of the assertions and some of the statements are coming probably from a position of ignorance, and I don't want to include you in some of the next statements that come after these clips and after we talk. Because
these shots aren't for everybody, so don't get hit by a bullet. Ain't meant for you.
Right. I don't want you to get caught up in something that is not for you. So go ahead.
Like I said in my disclaimer, you know what I'm saying? Any scholastic shell will have the name boldly printed on that joint.
Right.
So again, just real quick. So I want to be clear in the clip that I just showed, right? So Ephraim Isaac is not being presented as someone who's speaking on Hebrew anywhere in the clips that Garfield shows. In fact, he starts off talking right there about a Proto-Semitic script,
right? That lines up with Hebrew and the other Semitic languages, right?
Which ties into the whole concept of a trade language argument that needs to be scholastically ruled out before being dismissed.
Right.
One more time for the people in the back. It's got to be scholastically ruled out before being dismissed.
Right.
That's for Garfield. That's for Abu. But going for, but again, so this is the point of why I want to stop. So he's not saying that there's Amharic on all the pews, and this needs to be understood. He's looking at a picture. He's saying that's Ga'iz, that's Ga'iz, that's Ga'iz. He's looking at one picture.
Mm-hmm.
He's not saying all the pews are Ga'iz. He's saying the one I'm looking at right here. And so nowhere is he saying, are the rest of them not Hebrew? Are the rest of them not Arabic? In fact, like I said, he comes in talking about a Proto-Semitic script.
Correct.
Going forward.
Spiritually and culturally. And That was so important for the survival and for the struggle of freedom for African Americans. Because as I said, physical energy and physical fights and physical origin are important. But sometimes people survive because of spiritual strength.
As Andrew Bryan's congregation began to grow, he eventually obtained enough wealth to buy his own freedom. He then used some of that money to purchase a lot to begin construction on his church in 1794, changing that name to First African Baptist Church.
Now, this building was completed in 1859. The church was still...
Could this be a possible explanation for what we see on the side of the pews? Are there actually Hebrew letters mixed in with the Ethiopian letters?
Then that would look like a cursive top. As it is,
That's right.
as it is, it also, I have to see this closer up, but it also looks like a closive kuf.
Mm-hmm.
See here.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Or kuf.
Okay. However, nothing else on this panel really looks like a Hebrew letter. When you have something that looks like a Hebrew letter, it's in a context of things that don't look like Hebrew letters. So that the issue, the issue is not the individual sign. It's what the signs add up to. Kuf.
Mm-hmm.
See here.
Mm-hmm.
As it is,
That's right.
as it is, it also, I have to see this closer up, but it also looks like a closive kuf.
Mm-hmm.
See here.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Or kuf.
Okay. However, nothing else on this panel really looks like a Hebrew letter. When you have something that looks like, also, I have to see this.
Now, this is not Garfield talking. This is the gentleman, the scholar, and Professor Ephraim, Dr. Ephraim Isaac. This is not Garfield. They said if it looks like a kuf or a kaf or whatever, but the problem is context, because nothing else on it looks like Hebrew. It looks like it possibly looks like.
Oh, I gotta let it go, bro.
Yeah, okay.
It's closer up, but it also looks like a closive kuf.
Mm-hmm.
See here.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Or kuf.
Okay. However, nothing else on this panel really looks like a Hebrew letter. When you have something that looks like a Hebrew letter, it's in a context of things that don't look like Hebrew letters. So that the issue, the issue is not the individual sign. It's what the signs add up to.
So far, none of the letters, symbols, or markings seem to form words, which may imply that they had a different purpose entirely.
The use of alphabetic symbols in magic is very well known, it's very ancient. In Ethiopia, for instance, already in the 4th and 5th centuries, they were using decorative letters, not directly in terms of symbolic tree.
Hold on, I think I went over a minute, playing part of it over a minute. So let me stop for a minute. Let me stop for a little bit, and then let's continue.
Or for words, letters, but in terms of a geometric figure. A lot of the early magic, what we call abracadabra, they are not complete words, but they are letters. There is one prayer that is ahiya sharahiya sharahiya sharahiya. I mean, just they use just a few of those words, and sometimes it may be just like ha 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 la 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 ba 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 ga 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 ga. This is, of course, the way of enticing the demon and defeat them is to know their names, the names of the demons. And even maybe there is some reference indirectly in the New Testament to that idea.
What is your name? Jesus asked. Legion, he answered, because many demons had gone into him.
Okay, go ahead, bro. Anonymous.
Okay, there we go. I didn't know if I was still muted. So yeah, so So to those of you that are saying, see, there's no Hebrew, this has been our point the entire time. We're never saying that there are these legible words of Hebrew. Some, like the professor just said he saw potentially a tav or kuf. I saw on another pew a kaf, right? To make the statements that some people are making that we're trying to force Hebrew on here, or that there is no Hebrew on here, and that there is no Arabic on here, we're not saying any of this. We're saying the same thing that scholars, the top scholars that are on the actual video that Garfield played, would agree with our assessment that we made over a year and almost a year and a half ago
now. And so here's the thing about what we're saying about certain scholastic types. Like you got blood types and all kind of like body types. You got scholastic types, right? There's certain people who don't investigate everything they're hearing. They go at the surface level and they just stop there. They don't listen to everything. They hear like they read the first paragraph but not the full page, right?
Right.
So here's what you got to understand. So again, the person brought in to deal with the Hebrew is a European man, right? Completely different person than Ephraim Isaac, right?
Facts.
Ephraim Isaac is confirming that he's on the pews, right? And then watch this. They make two different arguments. The guy says that the European guy looking at the Hebrew says, well, like I can see letters, but it doesn't make sense by itself. Now, Ephraim Isaac, who is Yemenite and African, right? He is Ethiopian, right? He comes in and says, let me give you an Ethiopian perspective on this. Something that would be more culturally closer to what the people on the pews would be dealing with than what a European would be, right? He says, check this out. In Ethiopia, we find this, bro. We see reasons for this. And check this out. He's talking about having power over demons and whatnot. Watch what happens when I go further into this. But check this out. It needs to be understood that there's a positive and negative claim. I'll just say this. So it's a positive claim that he's saying that there is Amharic or is on the pews, right? He does not make the negative claim that there is no Hebrew there.
Right.
That needs to be understood. And Garfield, you can prove me wrong simply by just showing me on the documentary where he makes the negative claim there is no Hebrew. They literally just said that they found Hebrew letters among the Amharic letters. They just said that on the clip that I just showed.
Now
that you played.
I want to show you biasness. Sister Gia loves Jesus. Peace to you, sister. You said we keep digging to find someone that will agree with us. Sad. That is not our video that we played.
No, not at all.
That's Garfield's video, who definitely disagrees with us.
And in fact, I'm showing that Garfield actually disagrees with the person that he's citing. So like they like to say Dagger Squad, you know what I'm saying? A pseudo always dies at their source. I'm showing you my man actually, you know what I'm saying, going against the source that he's citing as he's citing him in real time. So again, Garfield claims that the problem is that there is no language on the pews because there are letters that exist in the middle of nothing. However, Professor Isaac, who confirms Amharic is on the pews. Sorry, family. Who confirms Amharic is on the pews, gives unchallenged reasoning. Again, unchallenged Garfield, all you got to do is show me in the documentary that you showed to the people where what he says about the letters and the prayers and the magic and the Ethiopian concept, etc., is being challenged by another scholar. Because the guy you're talking about is talking about the Hebrew, who's European, who again is not Ephraim Isaac. Ephraim Isaac comes in talking about a Proto-Semitic concept, right? And so if you're dealing with the trade language argument that has not been scholastically dismissed by you or Abu as of yet, if you're dealing with that trade language concept, what he's saying is completely relevant. You cannot rule it out, and it was not challenged by anyone else.
It can't be, because any scholar that's familiar with the language and the talking and the writing that's going on across the continent before they come over will agree. We have Godby agreeing to this. We have other scholars agreeing to this. These are sources that Cambridge University is using to quote. That they had, quote, a mixture of, and if I'm wrong, I will come back and correct it, but there is sources that we have that says it's Maghrebi. No, I know for a fact. It says Maghrebi Arabic, ancient, some form of ancient Israelite writing, and patois. Right? So this lines up with what we see on these pews.
Right.
This even lines up with what the tour guide told me when I took the tour. This lines up with everything that I saw when I did my research. And then you have these other brothers coming in talking about Amharic and Ge'ez, which we affirm. We do not go against.
Facts. We have no reason to challenge you from Isaac on this finding.
Facts. Facts. So please tell us where we're being scholastically dishonest when we're showing you who the one that is being deceptive.
Right. We're honestly dealing with all the arguments on the table. So if you're familiar, and this is why it's necessary to like you can and other people say, like, go to the church, right? Because again, like we got this trade language argument, right?
Right.
A from us just looking at this stuff, but B from what Anonymous told us about what the tour guide said.
Right.
But yeah, you'll like the alley-oop on the next slide after this right here. But yeah, like, so the fact that Garfield Reed and the Dagger Squad not only misquote Professor Isaac, but also dismiss his Ethiopian perspective on the occurrence of non-word forming letters is staggering, to say the least. The Afro-Asiatic scholar was thrown under the bus for the European scholar's perspective, and without any scholastic argument as to why.
Wow.
I'm just gonna leave that one right there.
Let that one sit there for a second.
Let that one just sit. Okay, so the truth is that the Afro-Asiatic scholar has to be misused and dismissed because his confirmation of Amharic Ge'ez letters on the pews potentially points to the East African transatlantic slave trade and East African migrations into West Africa that Garfield consistently denies. Consistently. And so when dealing with this, he loves to go to slavevoyage.org talking about the transatlantic slave trade and who came from where. Okay, so I went there. And this is one of their slave maps. And so if you can see on the bottom right part of the screen, that's Mozambique, fam. That's a slave port on one of the maps on slavevoyage.org. Not only that, you will see, hey, Garfield, this is going to be a real busy Black History Month, fam. Real busy Black History Month. I'm just saying. So you'll see on future presentations where I'll go to slavevoyage.org and I'll show you the timelines in action, and you'll see the slave ships like the French and the Portuguese, like I said they were in my previous videos, coming from Mozambique, real thick and heavy from the 1770s to the 1860s.
Right.
Real heavy. You see no action and a whole bunch of action happening. You even check this out. Here's what got me, bro. You even see a couple of American ships take some slaves from over there and go to the Americas with them, fam. Like North America, like we're talking like East Coast. We're talking about the South. Like, yo, I saw that much. Y'all hit the floor. Like, hold on, what was that?
Wasn't he just on another platform saying that didn't happen?
Yo, hey, and again, hold on, real quick. Since I'm here, I know I got the clip here. Hold up.
That's fair. The Orthodox Moor, you up? What you got to say, brother?
Yeah, real quick. I just wanted to ask you a couple of questions on your position on Israelites in West Africa and then the Lemba overall.
All right. Hold on. We're gonna get to that. Hold on a second. Me and Engel, we have a section for you. Right now, we need.
I got a quick question for Goes real quick, so I can understand what he was saying. Though.
All right, go ahead.
So, just so I understand, for the people who are Israelite in America claiming that they're connected to the Lemba, you're saying that's not correct in the sense that when their DNA connects to their Bantu to the Lemba Bantu DNA, not the Semitic DNA within the Lemba, correct?
Yes, partially right. Partially, it's more to
partially
it.
Right. Correct.
Yeah,
There's more to it than that. Yes.
Okay.
You could tell that you actually understand. I respect that question. I respect that. But we're gonna talk about. He said it earlier But Ngozi, I gotta slow you down on the video, man. I gotta do a
for real.
Yeah, because you already said it. You already answered all of that. You know what I'm saying? I don't know.
If I can see the picture in your head, bro, of the chart of like how everyone connects, bro, like that would be amazing, bro. For real. For real. The chart in your head is nuts, bro. For real.
All right, cool. Let's get this done.
You're also going to find ties with ancient Mesolithic Europeans. So Jed Match goes further back in time.
Hold on, let me get the right one, family. Hold
on. Orthodox Moor, you had a question that you wanted to ask, and we skipped over you. So go ahead and then after.
The two quick clarification questions. So one, Brother Ngozi, what is your position on the Jed Match projects that tell the people that say they connected to Limba that those particular projects also match them up to Yemenite, Ethiopian, and Moroccan Jews? And the second question to Garfield, was it your position earlier that no East Africans were taken into the transatlantic slave trade into the West?
Yeah, my position is that, I mean, there were people taken from north, but not from the east. There's some few people taken from the north, not necessarily from the East Africa. East Africa people were taken in the during the time when the Muslims were in charge. They did take them to several different places. You know, that's why when people talk about the 400 years, you gotta be careful because there's the people from the east that were taken on ships. So if they want to play that game, and they've been in the land for over 400 years as slaves. So these are things that's going on outside of our world that's happening on that side of the continent. All right. But as far as taken to America, I'm not aware of that. Maybe that's something I missed in school, but I don't know about that. Ngozi, the next question.
I was going to say again, even those people that you talk about that were stripped from East Africa, the Arabians took, or some of them that possibly came through the Portuguese and traded somewhere in the Iberian Peninsula with the British or whatever, they were primarily Bantu speakers. You're not going to find a Habesha slave over here. You're not going to find a Somali slave over here. You're not going to find a Oromo slave over here. You're not going to find a Nilotic slave over here. You find primarily Bantu speakers that was being taken in those zones. And for us, and that came to America, we are really Mendi, Fulani, Yoruba, Alactic Congo speakers, Volta Congo speakers, those type of people. You're not going to find, you might find, like you say, the East Africans, but what type of East Africans are they taking? They're not taking Somalis. They're not taking Oromos. Somalis was embedded with Islam, and they still treat Somali Bantus bad and call them Jegada. That's the term that they use. Jegada. Look it up. Or if you're around Somalis, you'll understand. Even with, like my mother being Fulani, and I'm going to say this, Fulanis are flunkies. They were the ones that caused a lot of jihad in the Sahel. So what I'm saying is that you got to look at the mindset of what was going on with people in Africa at that time. So even if you're talking about East Africans that was taken, that's not talking about Habesha, Oromo, or Somali. You're talking about Bantu speakers that was taken. Bantu speakers. Even the ones that went into Zanzibar, who Al-Jahiz was a descent in Arabia that went over there in Baghdad or whatever. Those were people that was Bantu speakers. Those are Bantu speakers, the Zaj.
So what was your position on the Jed Match? Yeah, so first of all, I hope y'all see that, right? they like, again, a pseudo always dies at their source, right? That's what they said, correct? Right. So if I go to the information that you tell me to go to and it contradicts everything you're saying, I don't know what to do with that. But again, check this out. Did you hear the conflation of Bantu speakers with the people like with the genetic concept, like the language versus the genetics and whatnot?
I wanted you to touch on. Yeah, I was gonna beg you to touch on that.
So again, this is the whole point. Like, so how the hell did Gaiz get on the pews if it's only Bantu speakers?
Right.
So for like one question to kill both arguments, because you're conflating two things at the same time, but it just takes one shot to kill both arguments anyway. How did Gaiz get there if only Bantu speakers were taken? Because real quick, is it the position of the Dagger Squad and Ngozi that Ephraim Isaac did not confirm Gaiz on the pews? Because if he did, now it has to be explained. How did it get there? Like you said, he was a serious scholar. He's the number one Hebrew scholar. Okay, got you. If he's big and bad and you can't mess with him, and again, I agree, he's a bad dude. He's the dude that translated. If you read the Ethiopian Book of Enoch in college right now, you're reading his translation of it. That's not nothing to sneeze at.
So why would we come on here and disagree with him?
That's a Ge'ez translation. That's going from Ge'ez into English. So that's his field of study, right? So why am I going? Yeah, why am I going to fight? Why would I fight him on that? It makes no sense. That's not me looking for anything. I'm okay. I didn't even know he said that till Garfield said anything. Again, we were doing our own independent research on this. Anyway, going further. Now that we put that one to rest, and we will be touching on this a lot, family, a lot. Like I said, Black History Month is going to be a busy month of onslaught and shock and awe. So you know what I'm saying, just stay tuned, fam.
Hallelujah.
So let's deal with this concept of Arabic being on the pews, because when I was dealing with Pastor Kelly's crowd and Maury Brown's crowd and whatnot, I got the question. Why would Arabic be found on pews within a church that's housing Israelites and whatnot? And so I want to deal with that, because the truth of the matter is that Arabic was the lingua franca of North and West Africa at the time. Also, many slaves were found to be literate in said Arabic. This is documented. You heard Abu talking about Bilali Muhammad writing the Bilali documents, right? Which is a treatise on Islamic practice in Arabic or whatnot. I'm going to cite some other people here. And I want you to pay attention to these stories. So this is Ayuba Suleiman Diallo. He's a Fulani man, a Fulani Muslim born in Senegal, enslaved in 1730. So I want you to pay attention to these times that I'm giving you, because we know that the church, we have the 1773 to the 1850 timeline that we're dealing with, right? So I just want you to keep these dates in mind. So he's enslaved in 1730 and eventually returned to the Gambia in 1738. Before his return to the Gambia, he wrote 3 Qurans from memory in Arabic. 3 full Qurans from memory. That's a lot of Arabic writing, fam. We have Abdul Rahman Ibrahim Ibn Sari. Again, he's a Fulani nobleman. Born in Guinea in 1762. Check these dates out. He was enslaved in 1788 and eventually returned to Liberia in 1829. He spoke 4 African languages. One more time. He spoke 4 African languages in addition to Arabic and English. Inquiry that led to his freedom stemmed from him being able to write in Arabic. He was actually released based upon Arabic correspondence that he had with the consulate from Morocco and whatnot. He was released under a treaty of peace and friendship with Morocco, back to Liberia again in 1829. But again, he spoke 4 African languages in addition to Arabic. So out of those African languages that he spoke, he potentially had the ability to write each of them down in Arabic, as Arabic was the lingua franca script at the time. Script, not language. Like language, yes, but also script. You got to understand that. This is what people are. So English is our lingua franca. Like I can take a Chinese class, right? And they'll give me something called Pinyin, which is a Romanized Chinese script. It's Chinese written in English. They give that to me to start off with as baby food. Then they have me move on to the regular script and whatnot. But I can do the same thing with Arabic. I can write other languages in that script. Moving forward.
I think you need to break that down real quick. And then the brother BA asked a good question that I want to address when you finish. But break that down just a little bit, because what your answer is going to tie into my answer to the brother's question. Because it's a fair question. It's a really good question.
I don't know. Let me see BA's question real quick.
He's asking, how does any of this information deliver those in darkness out of darkness? Or it says, it seems no matter what information is being brought, the opposing side will not even consider it. So what is the purpose and end game overall? How does all this make an impact on the common believers?
Because my people perish for lack of knowledge.
God took those scripture right out of my mouth. The problem is many of us believers think that we exist in a vacuum, right? So if I'm a debate talk for you, listener or watcher, most of us will only listen and watch and debate talk for you. We don't understand that there are some of our people that are caught up in a lot of the madness that they hear on these other channels.
Mm-hmm.
And so it is our job as believers to show the information, show the falsehood of it, show the truth of it, and then show how it relates to our struggle on how we were brought here. Right? We clearly see these people coming here, being in these churches, having these languages, like he said, the lingua franca, but still communicating in their own form of language, still having connections to the ancient form of Hebrew, still having connections to Arabic and Amharic. Right? These things become pertinent to understanding the entire tracking or migration of how people came from the Exodus to we get to this point, basically. Right? How do you go from antiquity to now? It's not enough at this point to just say, hey, I believe. Right? Because that belief, that word believe and faith, we know these are action words, and these things are based upon being convinced to a point of trust. And at this point, everything we put out as believers of trying to put out truth is being attacked as if it is untrustworthy. So at that point, we're being called to a higher level of scholarship, and we have to answer that call. This is not an attempt to justify Richard Katz or anything like that. Please, everybody, go back and watch the beginning. Go back and watch the beginning. We made it clear. If there's wrongdoing done, that needs to be cleared up. We even disagree with whatever the ultimate understanding was with Katz. So this has nothing to do with this. This is something that we were doing separate before these things even came out.
Yeah, matter of fact, let me be clear about it. So the recommendation that we made on this stream and the Israelite Intelligentsia is making as a group is that if Richard Katz is even real, that his scholarship should be avoided because it's sloppy.
I mean, he said it. He put it in there.
That's our official position. If he is a real character, he should be stiff-armed anyway because he don't know what he's talking about.
So he says, what does this have to do with the Gentiles? Our message cannot only just be about the Gentiles. The message has to be for all believers. Gentiles, we never said that Gentiles don't have the right to cleave or believe anything. I don't understand how.
How can the natural branch be redeemed if the natural branch doesn't know they're the natural branch?
And how can the natural branch be light? Right. How can the natural branch be the light to the Gentiles if the natural branch doesn't even know that it's the natural branch? How can the natural branch bring the proper information to the quote unquote Gentile if that information is not being taught and not being brought forward?
And here's the light to the Gentile. What we're saying is that no matter if you're an Israelite or what have you, if you have ancestry that went through the slave trade, this church and these pews are a national treasure because they potentially contain some of the writings of whoever you're connected to on there.
Right.
Whatever system you want to deal with. Again, they have identified a Bakongo symbol. They've identified Ga'iz. They've identified Hebrew letters, right? They've identified Ajami Arabic.
Right.
What other languages are potentially there? Knowing who you are. And this is the real light, right? Until you know how do you know where you're going until you know where you've been? How can I be a light and I don't know where the switch is at? Like, so there's a lot of people, our people in particular, right, who need to know who they are so they can find themselves on a map. Again, this is why all our people are taking DNA tests, right? All of us, right? Because we want to know who we are, where do we connect to, etc. Whatnot. And trust me, family, we're about to go way deep into the DNA. We're about to have fun with this one. Okay. Y'all started slap boxing with the right ones, fam.
Wait a minute. How are we replacing Christ? He says, so we're replacing Christ. In what way?
First of all, this is not even a spiritual argument that we're talking about. This has nothing to do with scriptures or with the salvation or sanctification or righteousness. None of that type of stuff. None of that type of stuff. This matter of fact, this what this has to do is not arguing over genealogy. Let me break this down to you is why. Because people are being forced to argue about genealogy when we're not supposed to. We're being challenged like no one else is being. Again, so you'll hear me say this all the time. I claim Hebrew on both sides of my family. And when you see my Jed match and on my other side, man, we're about to have some fun, fam. We're about to have some super fun. But again, when I say that I come from Maghrebi and Sephardic Jews on my mother's side, no one challenges that ever. I haven't got a single challenge ever. But if I dare say that I'm connected to Israel on my father's side, oh Lord, all the guns and knives come out, fam. And I got to start proving stuff. I got to pee in cups and give you my DNA and hair samples and all kinds. You know what I'm saying? Genealogy for 10,000 years. Like, yo, what's going on? What's going on? So my question is, why are Christians teaming up with atheists to go against Titus 3 and 9? When you got to answer for that question, I got you. But I promise you don't. I promise you don't. And again, why is it only a certain group of people? If you're of African descent and you got the nerve to claim that you're Israel, why is it that you're the only people that got to prove it? Or you're the only person, or you're the only people being disproved. Like, so my man Garfield got a video talking about the Limba aren't Israelites. Okay, so where's this video about the Ashkenazi aren't Israelites, the Sephardic aren't Israelites, the Mizrahi aren't Israelites? Why is it just the Limba? Why just the Limba? So here's the issue, right? So when we're trying to rebuild a nation and a kingdom, etc., whatnot, right? And when it's time to rebuild the wall, fam, you got the sword in the one hand and the spackle in the other. You know what I'm saying? It just is what it is. You got to fight off some stuff sometimes. And right now we're being attacked in such a way that's not even necessary, and we're diffusing the nonsense. Because the truth is the people who are attacking us don't even care about their own African heritage enough to investigate their African heritage in this church. That's literally the point of what we're saying. We're dead in the topic, fam. We're making it a non-issue. And if anybody wants to challenge the scholarship, we're saying we're here. There's other people who don't want to do it. We got no issue with it.
So let's get at it then. Like, I'm gonna be honest. Like, at this point, I'm almost ready for any and all smoke, if this is what it's gonna turn into. Anybody that's gonna tell us we don't need to know our history, I'm gonna challenge you. I'm gonna push you. I'm not gonna lie to you, bro. And I love all my brothers, but if you telling me that it's not important for us to know who we are as well as whose we are, then I have to challenge you. Because the reason we need to know this is because there is false teaching going on amongst us. We have to understand that. This is not, it's just an Israelite thing. This is, it's because we're black. And no, it has everything to do with, like the brother said, this is our history that lies on these pews and at these churches. And it's
regardless of religion.
It's being trampled over as if it's negligent and it's nothing. And as people are lying and they're slanderous and they're preaching falsehoods. No. We even showed the brother his clear-cut video. Right? We're not negating Christ. But we are pushing and showing that we need to study to show ourselves approved. It has to be about more than just saying, I got the laws and that's it, or I got Christ and that's it. It has to be a complete belief. A complete belief. We have to have a doctrine that is unpenetrable. And Christ gives us that because he gives us the freedom to go and study. I'm not afraid to study anything because it's all going to lead me to truth.
And let's be real about it, right? The question that my man's addressing comes from a place of someone being stung by the info they just heard. This don't taste good. Don't taste good, but it's good for you. It's good medicine. It'll get you right.
The sisters say they crucified Christ. Can you match that? I don't have to. I'm not claiming to be Christ.
Yeah.
I'm claiming to be a follower of Christ.
Right.
Why would I ever dare to even try to match that? Now, since you want to talk about his crucifixion, do you know what his crucifixion was supposed to lead you to? The crucifixion was supposed to lead you to repentance. Go read Acts chapter 2.
Let's not get sidetracked right quick.
I'm tired of playing games though, fam. Like,
let's not get sidetracked though, right? Because we deal with the spiritual stuff too as well, right? And the scriptural stuff all day, right? And there's plenty of time for that. And again, we take all comers on whatever we talk about concerning them topics. We don't. The one thing people know about us is Yara, myself, and Anonymous don't run from no debates. As a matter of fact, we got a hard time getting debates, and I don't foresee that changing anytime soon.
Right.
So when it comes to the spiritual stuff, we got you. We're not having that conversation right now. That's not the conversation. As a matter of fact, we're addressing somebody using an Israelite brother, a scholar in his field, against his own community, and doing so wrongfully. So if someone's lying on my people and using that lie to damage my people, am I supposed to not do something about it or to do something about it? I appreciate your apologies. It's well accepted, sis. Much appreciated.
Let's keep it moving.
So back to what I was saying, right? So I want my people to pay attention to this particular argument because this pertains to what Abu actually brought out in his arguments about the Arabic, and why I'm saying that everything I'm saying has to do with why we're talking about Katz's scholarship being sloppy if he does in fact exist. So Omar ibn Said was another Fulani Muslim from Senegal and enslaved from 1807 to 1864. This is during the time of the building of the church or whatnot, right? He wrote an autobiography in Arabic. He was thought to have converted to Christianity, but when asked to write the Lord's Prayer in Arabic in 1857, he was later found to have written Surah An-Nasr, the 110th surah of the Quran, in Arabic. So they thought this is written on a card that confirms he's a good Christian, etc., in good standing and whatnot, right? They ask him to write the Lord's Prayer, and instead he writes the 110th surah of the Quran. So for my people who say why would there be Arabic writing in the church? Well, okay, it's not. This is something we found before to where people who were Muslims would say that they were Christians and then keep to their faith privately. Much like my mother's family would say that they were Catholics but kept to their faith privately.
Now,
this was going on all over the place at the time right now.
Let me give you firsthand knowledge of this in the 2000s.
Go ahead.
A lot of the Pashtun people in Afghanistan have done the same thing. In order to save their own life, they have to pretend to be a Muslim, but really carry to the faith of the Bible, of a Christian. I know this firsthand because those were many of the people I was protecting when I was overseas. That's why this type of stuff is important, family.
She could just kill the game right there because that's what it is.
Right there.
We got to know this about our history, fam. And so, again, we also need to know this. And I'll be coming out with this information, and I'll be bringing out Sister Dana Marnici as well to talk about this. We need to understand that a lot of the Muslims who were in North and West Africa, even by Muslim sources, were stipulated to have been Jewish or Israelite before they converted to Islam. I need y'all to understand that the Muslim sources themselves, which have no reason to state this, stipulate that the people who were in North and West Africa, to a large extent, before converting to Islam, were in fact Jewish or /Israelite. And so I talk about this quite a bit, that like the Moors who went into Spain to help out the Israelites in Spain and fought with them in Toledo for their freedom and whatnot, right? That they're suspected to have been part of these tribes that were Jewish before they were Muslim. So potentially you have Israelite descendant Moors, you know what I'm saying, going into Spain to go help out other Israelites and whatnot. And people need to understand the depth of this, that they were still Muslim. And even to this day, you can find parts of North and West Africa where they will intertwine a little bit of the Israelite tradition with Islam.
And make no mistake, because I can hear the next statement. The brother's not trying to convert nobody to Islam. He ain't trying to convert nobody to a Moor.
No, not in the least bit. We're talking about migration. We're talking about where people went. We're talking about history. We're talking about lingua francas. We're talking about all that. We're talking about the parts of history that people are leaving off the table to make their arguments. We're just trying to set the table, fam, for a full meal.
Now watch this. If it's not important to know history, why does Christ open the minds of the disciples by teaching them Moses and the current times? Why is he teaching them history in order so they can be caught up and understand everything that he's been spoken of about in the book?
And real quick, to all my people out there who have an issue with us talking about anything tribal or national and act as if that's something against the scrolls, your issue is not with me. Your issue is with the Creator, because he put the table of nations there. I did not. I'll just leave it right there. So there's that. I'll just say it like that. So moving forward, fam.
Yes, sir.
It is believed that the church played a role in the Underground Railroad. If so, different African languages and symbols being found within the church makes logical sense. The question of other African languages arises, such as Yoruba, etc. Like I stipulated, the Yoruba were also known to write in the Ajami script. So again, we could see Hebrew in the Ajami. We could see Yoruba in the Ajami. We could see Fulani, and we could see all kind of different tribes potentially writing in that script. So we need to investigate to see what was there, what was left. What did our people leave us? Because they went through the pain to leave us something. And again, at this juncture, it's not an argument over whether stuff is intelligible or if there's an intelligible script on the pews. Again, we have multiple scholars saying, yeah, I see this, I see that. And even if you stick with the single letter argument, right? What Abu did, and this needs to be understood, family. Abu effectively, so he was out there saying that there's no intelligible language and there's no phraseology, etc., whatnot, right? And Garfield saying the same thing. That was even somewhat mentioned about the Hebrew in the documentary Garfield showed, right? However, what Abu did is he went the Arabic route. And when he went the Arabic route, he actually got people to stamp what he was saying. No, this is this part of the Quran. This is this ayat from this surah.
Right.
This is so not only is there scholars talking about that there's individual recognizable letters. There's scholars talking about there's individual recognizable phrase. There's phrases. There's recognizable phrases, ayats, and surahs from the Quran. So there's language on the pews now. Until someone says until you can bring me some work that says otherwise. So now that we got it confirmed, right? Shout out to Garfield, shout out to Abu, you know what I'm saying? Appreciate y'all.
Forcing us to sharpen up a little bit.
I mean, bro, we had to knock some dust off some stuff. Really, is what we had to do. Like I said, this is a back burner thing.
Dormant, like we have really moved on past. You know what I'm saying? I gotta let this go if I'm gonna be honest with you, because to me it didn't seem. It seemed like we had more pressing things with the debates that we were dealing with.
Right, we had our hands full. We had to put it down for a second, but now it is what it is, because like we're saying, like we got the time for it. Plus, it is a national treasure, fam. What else is? Because we're seeing now that people are looking at it like it's not a national treasure. Like, wait a minute, how are you supposed to be pro-African and all this type of thing, but you don't want to know the depths of what's there?
Facts.
How many languages are there? Like what is being said? That's significant, fam. That's our people's, fam. This got nothing to do with the Bible. This got nothing to do with the Quran. This is not a spirituality thing. As a matter of fact, this makes the way for spirituality, because when people got this question answered, they can actually make a lot of space for the spiritual growth they need to make as individuals.
Right, because now all of your tribalism gets answered. You do listen. All right. Now we got to deal with psychology for a second. You're not going to remove tribalism from a people by just sweeping it under the rug and saying, well, just look to Jesus. They've done that to people for thousands of years, and it hasn't worked. Answer the questions.
Go tell orphans, not to cut you, go tell orphans that they should not be concerned about who their parents are.
Facts.
That if they want to know where they come from, that there's something wrong with that. That Jesus should be enough for them.
Because you know what I've noticed is when you do that, to me, it means you have something to hide. Whereas if you tell a person that's claiming Africa to really study Africa, they're going to find Christ, family. They'll find the Ethiopian cross. They'll find all of these different things that's going to lead them to the book. But if you keep telling people, don't look, don't worry about it, don't exist, it doesn't exist, you're being tribal, you're missing the entire point. Am I telling you to negate the belief in the teaching of Christ? No. But I'm telling you, you have to give these people the truth as well. Paul, there's a reason that Paul reps himself as a Benjamite, as an Israelite. I wish that, he's telling you, like, I wish that all my brothers according to the flesh would be saved. That's not a cut towards the Gentile. But if you're telling me that, the only thing we need to worry about now is how to reach the Gentile, then now you're throwing away the natural branch as well. We need to have a complete ministry.
Facts. And that entails understanding what the natural branch needs to heal. Because if you read the scrolls, right, the natural branch just went through hell. I don't know what scrolls you're reading, but like they didn't have a hunky-dory time. And when y'all supposed to meet up again, you know what I'm saying? Like, well, you think that they're not going to need any reconciliation? They won't need any healing? Like it literally says, like they got to get cleaned up by by a messenger of a new covenant. So if we got to get clean, let us get clean. Part of getting clean is us not having to question where we come from. Because that's a big question to have, fam. That's a huge question to have. You start questioning all kind of stuff about yourself. You start having all kind of self-esteem issues, all kind of underlying issues that need to get dealt with.
Right.
We all talk about post-traumatic slave syndrome. This is part of curing that.
And I don't know if people understand how serious that is, especially when you're dealing with a man who's trying to give his children an identity, he's trying to give his family an identity. Oh, my identity is in Christ. I love you for saying that, right? But let's be real. Christ told us that we need to, even when Paul's writing, we need to become a part of the commonwealth of Israel. In order for us to come into this, we have to understand Israel. We have to understand this, family. This is a part of that history. The mingling and the intermingling of various beliefs and various languages and how these people end up here and how we end up on this particular coast, on this particular island. And like he said, this church is a national treasure. It's a church. We're literally talking about a church and we're wondering why this is important. That to me in itself is amazing. But we're talking about.
Hold on, real quick. This just says something that needs to get pointed out, right? This is everything in a nutshell. Garfield doesn't deal with the Bible. He's into history like you guys. Garfield literally says that the Exodus did not happen. That's a biblical concept, right? Your man Anonymous and myself both are on record having debates proving the historicity of the Exodus as an actual event in time.
Pertaining to the Bible.
Pertaining to the Bible, fam. Proving what the Bible says about it. And again, Garfield won't touch neither one of our information on, like, trust me. He don't want none of that work on none of this stuff. He's already been invited to have this conversation. And instead he wants to talk about genetics or whatnot. He wants to go back to the Titus 3:9 concept. So we're dead in the whole thing. After Black History Month, fam, trust me, I doubt anyone's going to come to us about a genetic conversation. I really doubt it.
And we'll be humble and say Most High willing.
Most High willing, right? If they do, like, I don't mind playing. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, man, I've been itching. I ain't gonna lie to you. I got an itch that needs a scratch. You feel me? But I will say this, right? Most High willing, like my man said, it'll be a dead topic. and then we can really get into the real issues at hand, like salvation and nation building, etc., whatnot, right? Being a light to the Gentiles and whatnot. But there's got to be topics that got to get deaded because they keep getting brought up and thrown in our face. So I love my people enough to deal with arguments that are being thrown at them, and also correct them on arguments that they're making that are incorrect. And that's a lot of what we're doing right now. And we're not talking about anybody in specific right now. We're talking about just as a group. This is what we're here to do. We're here to put out the best information we can possible. Period. So we can have real conversations and not get caught up in the nonsense.
Right.
But you know what I'm saying? A quote from one of my favorite movies, you know what I'm saying? Sometimes there's a peace that can only be found on the other side of war.
And I don't think people understand that we are at war with these people. To the point where Christians are teaming up with atheists just to disprove people who believe in the same book. Like, that's a whole nother concept.
Whole nother conversation.
Yeah, let's just get through this, man.
Right, it's almost done. So check this out. It is our position that any and all markings should be investigated to see what other African languages, if any, can be found within the markings on the pews. The First African Baptist Church should be considered a national treasure for anyone whose ancestors went through the transatlantic slave trade. This should be self-explanatory. And again, anybody who doesn't want to investigate that, man, your whole African card is suspect to me, bro. I'm gonna be real, like this whole African atheism. First of all, like, I don't understand it. Like, show me the African atheist. You know what I'm saying? History. The whole. What tribe was African atheist? What you know what I'm saying? What civilization? What civilization? What nation? What group? Like, what's the practice? But show it to me, right? So like atheism is un-African to begin with, right? But then you don't want to investigate your people. Like, you're cool with the 23andMe saying that, oh, you're just whatever percentage Nigerian, but you don't want to know what tribe in Nigeria. There's 250 ethnic groups there. So you don't want to, like, so if you're talking about your DNA but you ain't done a jet match, okay, you can't even talk to me, fam. Stop. Like, if you can't, like, if you're DNA wizards and don't know that my man can be EM180, right? Y'all don't even want to play with my joint yet. Wait till I come out with my joint.
Yeah, that's ugly.
it's gonna hurt, man. It's gonna hurt. But yeah, if you haven't done them type of studies or whatnot, just be easy, bro. Take a little bit of the wind out the chest right quick. You know what I'm saying? Get you know what I'm saying? Take 1 foot off the high horse at least 1 foot off the high horse. Because it's better if you climb off than get knocked off. You know what I'm saying? It's better if you climb off than get knocked off. But it's not like, so again, one more time, family, if you are not curious about this and you're condemning people that are, like, oh, you're suspect to me. Your whole African card is mad suspect to me, because, like, why am I more curious about your people than you are? But you got the nerve to tell me I'm not who I say I am. Well, how do you know if you're not willing to investigate?
Right.
How am I supposed to take you seriously? Your armchair quarterback and whatnot. I got you. Okay. Meanwhile, my man went, like, his hands on the pews, fam. On the pew. And this is what people really need to understand. This is one of the main reasons why we started this whole thing, right? We do not take the anti-African, anti-Hamite stance. We take the position that one does not have to reject being African to embrace being Israel. In fact, we take the position that Israelite culture is part of African culture and are not mutually exclusive.
Facts.
Are not mutually exclusive. And if you want to get real simple with it, right? Like a theist tradition, like we have a theist tradition that we can link back to Africa. I don't care how you slice it. You can see it in Africa. Just show me the atheist tradition, but that's all I want to know. What's the history? Like, what's the first atheist African culture that you can find? I'll wait. Man. I don't know of the one, bro. I really don't. I heard one brother talk about, like, yeah, it's the default position to be atheist. Okay, got you. Sure. Right. Just show it to me.
Right.
It's just like people talking about like, oh, if you want to deal with genetics, like you gotta deal with evolution. Okay, I deal with micro. I don't deal with macro. Can you show me one African tribe that said we evolved from an ape?
They're not gonna be able to do that.
Yeah, like so, you're coming at me with a Greek tradition that you can't even find in Africa, and you're not curious about your own people. You straight just being a 23andMe Nigerian. Okay. And you're straight with this whole like you're only West African, you're not East African or North African or South African. I don't understand that, fam. This whole like no migration concept, like, but okay, we're embracing being all of Africa. We're talking about the people we run with. We talk about we're East African, we're West African, we're North African, we're South African. We run with all that. And we also run with the part of our DNA that links us back to Israel, etc. whatnot. But somehow we're being seen as less African than the ones who accept an atheist tradition and reject investigating their own traditions.
Right.
I don't understand that, fam.
Right.
I mean, it's really gonna hurt because we're gonna come down to the concept of like proving the fact that like this was proven in previous debates we've had that the Bible is a repository for African monolatry.
Hold
so
on.
Not like so.
Hold on.
Yeah, let me pump the brakes.
One more time, fam.
That the Bible is a repository for African monolatry.
Let me break that down because I know we got some people who may not get that one. What that is saying is that the Bible is a complete understanding of having the worship and belief in one God, while everybody else is believing what they believe. And this is what the Bible showed. For us, we believe in one God. That don't mean that everybody else don't got their beliefs, but we believe in one God. That's why coming into this banner and coming to this belief is a choice. There's nothing more powerful than that. To choose to come into this belief system while everybody else is trying to feed you nonsense. That's why you know what, I ain't even gonna go to that. Excellent point, yeah.
I'm gonna leave it on this last one right here, family. We can call it good. Please stay tuned, family, because we will be coming out with a full series on the Pews, including audio recordings of the tour that Anonymous Hebrew took in August of 2019. We will also be reaching out to scholars on the matter for further research and projects. Again, Israelite intelligentsia, think tank on the ground, family. The purpose of our formation, again, is not to buck shots at any Israelite groups or whatever. Like, again, if we have any disagreements, we'll let people know. We'll get at you behind the scenes. If we need to address stuff publicly, we will. But we want to put the best information out there possible and arm our people with information, because there is an information war out there. I don't care what anyone's telling you. Like, again, like, so what's the purpose of people challenging you on this stuff? Because again, like if I say I'm an Israelite and someone says prove it, how is that spiritual? Where's the Christ in that conversation?
Mm-hmm. Right.
So for instance, I just found out, like recently found out, okay, like a few years ago, you know what I'm saying, that I descend from crypto Jews on my mother's side. Up until then, I didn't know that. I thought I was Spanish and Native American only, right?
Mm-hmm.
So now I find out a whole nother history on the thing, right? Why am I wrong for investigating that?
I don't know. I ain't got no answer for you.
Like if I'm an orphan, should I not take a DNA test?
Of course.
Is there something wrong because I take a DNA test?
Nope.
And if I take a DNA test and I find out that I link up to certain people that were Israelites or sojourners of Israelites, etc., whatnot, am I wrong for connecting to that history?
Not at all.
But I'm right for connecting to generic West African history that has no specific culture. Like, so if y'all can show me the atheist West African culture that's been there for 10,000 years, I got you, fam. I'll wait. I'll wait. But it's not there. So we're here because, like, so a lot of people don't want to have these conversations on our side.
Look what Sheikah said. Right.
I don't know what she could say.
She say, I just found out my great grandfather was a black Portuguese man. Now watch this. I love you, Sister Gia Love. You know what? I'm gonna say this for you, Sister Love, Gia Love Jesus. You standing on your square. So let's just have this quick conversation because I want to show you how the gospel was preached, and you might have missed it.
Hold on, real quick. Before you get into that, real quick, I want to address this. Like, not to cut you. Like, so she said, hold on, real quick. I know 10 seconds. She said BHI changed the doctrine. We can't ignore that, sis. I highly suggest you do some research on who we are on this particular channel, because we are on this channel here going at so-called BHIs on doctrine with Christians on our squad. Like, we were part of a team that was dealing with Christians, Old Testament Israelites, New Testament Israelites, and even Muslims, etc., whatnot, defending the Bible. So we don't identify as Black Hebrew Israelites at all. At all. We are of African descent 100%. We're Israelites 100%. But we are not them camp cats. And we don't bring their same level of scholarship. And that's the whole point, is that people are making arguments based upon the scholarship that so-called BHIs or the camps have brought. Now, I'm not saying all the camps. I'm talking about like the One West people. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, they're resting on the laurels of arguing against the One West people, and we're not them. We're a cut above that.
Ain't none of us running around here claiming to be the Holy Ghost and none of that.
Nope. But go ahead, my fault. Go ahead. You got the floor, man.
I want to show how you talked about when you made your statement about monolatry. The reason that I thought that was so impactful is because now Sister said we need to talk about the gospel. Well, here is what Revelations talks about when it comes to the gospel. The book of Revelation 14:6. And I saw another angel fly in the midst of heaven, having the everlasting gospel to preach unto them that dwell on the earth, and to every nation and kindred and tongue and people. Now listen to what it said, saying with a loud voice, fear God, the Most High, and give glory to him, for the hour of his judgment is come, and worship him that made heaven and earth and the sea and the fountains of water. Now, those that have an ear, let them hear. Right? When Christ comes, he's giving that same gospel. Praise the Father. Give glory to the Father. This monolatric belief. Once we understand this, that mountain that Abraham talked about of justice and judgment will become a reality. But you first have to learn where you're coming from to know where you're going.
Exactly. And that's why, like my man on the screen says, the gospel is about reuniting and uplifting a dispersed, broken family. You got to know you're part of that family, bro. If I don't know I'm part of that family, how can I reunite? Whether I'm part of the natural or the grafted branch.
Facts.
But yeah, I'm gonna leave it right there. You want to say anything in closing, bro?
Great joint, great presentation. This is not an attempt to usurp Christ's authority, whatever the narrative will be. I believe that we truly have a mission to come and use scholarship to teach our people a better way of presenting this Bible to where people can learn to understand how to properly adjudicate or properly handle the attack, the onslaught that is upon us. And maybe, hopefully, many of our believers that believe in the book, that have a problem with us as Israelites, can somehow listen and come into the faith and at a deeper level and start to work with us and understand that we are not teaching against anything. We're actually trying to really build and set the boundaries of the kingdom. So, great presentation. I advise y'all to go back. If you came in late, go back and watch it from the beginning. You'll know where you came in at. If you missed the first 20 minutes, catch it. If you missed the first foundation, go catch it. Go catch it. And you will see. And you will see the level of scholarship that the brother brought out. And this is just setting the foundation. So great job today, sorry I didn't get to do the Exodus thing. I'll either try to get on tonight or tomorrow.
Oh no, bro. Don't even worry. We got plenty of time. Again, you still got Black History Month, man. It's right. Yeah. We got time to prepare.
So had a little bit going on with myself the other day. So but yeah, just it's all love, family. Like we're trying to grow, we're trying to build, we're trying to love on people. So let's just keep it going. Let's just keep it going. Great job, Bob.
I appreciate you. All praise to the Most High. And real quick, Gia, please go check out the disclaimer I put out at the beginning of this, where I stipulated that we are not only are we open to critique, we invite critique. That steel sharpens steel. So you will learn by the end of, hopefully, Most High willing, by the end of February, everyone will understand who we are, what we stand for, and how we get down, and our methodology, whatnot. Because a lot of people, I'm recognizing that some people know us, a lot of people don't know us. And we're trying to make ourselves familiar right now. And really what we're here to do in real simple, plain terms, is to slap up sloppy scholarship,
man,
and get it out the way so we can deal with really big issues that need to be dealt with. But with that, family, I want to invite everybody to show some love to my man, Sal Showtime, for giving us this platform to build on. His information is down below. Please show him some love. Sal bringing us over a full decade of debates. Over a decade of debates, man. So with that, family, I'm going to say peace and love. Anonymous, I'll hit you up after this is over with.
You know what it is.
Right.
Shout out to Elder Yara. Don't remember it. Double live, family. You know what I'm saying?
AKA the Sinetta Slapper. AKA Stay Punching.
That one is out there now, fam. Peace to the family, yo. Shalom.
Shalom.
Yeah.